my rant today from Hartmann Report, and it's titled "The Newest Big Pharma Scam of Exposed." Big Pharma's obscenely priced drugs developed with our tax dollars are going to continue to drain working people of their income, their savings, and ultimately their health until America recognizes health care as a right. It's about molnupiravir. This is this new pill that's been all over the news because you just take one pill a day for 5 days. When you first get some COVID symptoms, this is for largely for unvaccinated people. It would work also for vaccinated people, but very rarely do vaccinated people get COVID symptoms. But it's a pill. It doesn't, if you're going to take the monoclonal antibody remdesivir, you've got to go to an infusion center or a hospital or a doctor's office, have a needle put in your vein, and sit there for 20 minutes while they drip it into you slowly. This is just a pill you take. It was developed by Emory University with a $10 million grant from the Department of Defense and a $19 million grant from the National Institutes of Health. And it was developed originally to deal with a virus that attacks horses. It's called Venezuelan equine encephalitis. And it's apparently successful for that, and so they thought, hey, this is an antiviral drug, let's see if it works against COVID. And sure enough, it appears to work. So Emory University passed this patent along to a small company, Ridgeback Biotherapeutics, and then Ridgeback passed that patent along to pharmaceutical giant Merck. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, this new pill will cost $17.74 to manufacture for a 5-day course of treatment. So Merck just signed a contract with the federal government to sell 1.7 million treatment courses. Again, a pill that costs them less than $20 for a treatment course to make. They just signed a contract with our government to sell our government 1.7 million of these courses of treatment that the government will then distribute to infected people for, wait for it, $712 each. Manufactured cost, $17. Sale price, $712. And you and I paid for the development of this drug in the first place. Now, the company is saying, but we paid for testing it on COVID. Well, yeah, of course. This price gouging hustle was made possible and might be illegal, ironically, under a piece of legislation referred to as Bayh-Dole. It was Birch Bayh and Bob Dole, these two senators back in 1980, who got this thing passed over Jimmy Carter's objections. And what it says is that when the federal government funds research in a university, the university may sell that patent to either a nonprofit or a small business. They may not sell it to a large business. So now there's this kind of little industry of small companies like Ridgeback Biopharmaceuticals that buy these patents and then turn around and sell them to the giant companies. But that's not the biggest part. The biggest part of this is that Bayh-Dole contains within it, this piece of legislation contains within it, a provision called march-in authority for the federal government. This is a quote from Peter Arno, and Michael Davis in the Washington Post. Quote, Bayh-Dole is a provision of U.S. patent law that states that practically any new drug invented wholly or in part with federal funds will be made available to the public at a reasonable price. If it is not, then the government can insist that the drug be licensed to more reasonable manufacturers, and if refused, license it to third parties who will make the drug available at a reasonable cost. So now you've got Big Pharma and their lobbyists going to the Trump administration saying, get rid of this march-in authority. And sure enough, Wilbur Ross's Commerce Department proposed in the Federal Register during the Trump administration to eliminate the march-in authority. And that issue is still live before the Biden Commerce Department, so watch this space for that. But meanwhile, Big Pharma is also buying off members of Congress and senators. They've got, they're pouring money into Kyrsten Sinema like there's just no tomorrow to block Biden's Build Back Better plan because it will allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. And they're also and the same thing in the House of Representatives with the so-called problem solver Democrats like Scott Peters of California, Kathleen Rice of New York State, and Oregon's Kurt Schrader, who all voted against letting Medicare negotiate drug prices. As a result of this, and you know, Citizens United, the Supreme Court saying, oh, drug companies can pour unlimited amounts of money down Kirsten Sinema's throat or Kurt Schrader's or whoever they want. A recent study found, and I quote, for 17 of the 20 top-selling drugs worldwide, drug makers made more money from U.S. sales than from sales to all other countries in the rest of the world combined. More profit in the U.S. than the rest of the world combined. They go on to say for 11 of the 20 top-selling drugs worldwide, U.S. sales revenue is double or more the revenue for sales in the rest of the world. In other words, we pay twice as much or more for 11 of the top 20 drugs being sold worldwide. And this is just obscene. There's no other word for it. It's just obscene. You can read the whole story with the links to the sources and everything else over at HartmannReport.com.